your girl Nadia with Two Chicks with a Mic, and I'm here I'm about to interview Jay Carter. I've been telling you guys about her for so long, so I'm really happy that I have her on the show. She's going to talk about some entertainment law and what's going on, like some hot topics with a few celebrity people that you guys love and love to hate. So tune in, okay? In like a few seconds, I'm going to have her on the show. Some of the key points that we are going to be talking about is like family. Okay, so one thing that I want to touch on before we get into this, like a little disclaimer, you got to love your mama and you got to love your fucking husband, period. Okay, if you're married, love that motherfucker. If you got a wife, love him. You have to. If you got a mama, you got to love your mama, period. If you are a mother, you have to love your daughter. It's one of those things where humans, we literally love to shit on the people that we're closest to because we think that, oh, well, they'll always be around, or I'm used to them, so it don't matter. But at the end of the day, these are the people that are supposed to be your support system and that are supposed to have your back, okay? It's kind of unfortunate when we start talking about what, when me and Jay start talking, it's going to be really unfortunate to hear some of the relationships tear apart, right? We're going to talk about mother and daughter situations. We're going to talk about husband and wife situations. We're even going to talk about, Black men and the justice system. Okay, so, and I know that all of these are really broad scenarios, but there's one fundamental, pattern that's in every single relationship that I'm talking about. And it's love, and it's respect, and it's honor, and it's compassion, right? It's if you love yourself, you won't break the rules enough to where you get in trouble. If you love your husband or if you love your wife, you won't do anything to jeopardize the relationship. And if you love your mother, and if you love your daughter, and if you love your family, and this isn't just mother and daughter, but just family in general. If you love your family, then you know them enough, and you know what it takes to make them happy. So it's just about doing it, right? So I don't want to be like this weird, like, oh, I'm giving you like all this shit about being family oriented, but you gotta be. This is all you got, okay? But without further ado, okay, here's my girl Jay. She's gonna be a Jay Carter, by the way. I don't want to even like, because mind you, she's an Esquire now. I don't even want to throw shade to her, okay? She's Jay Carter Esquire. Okay. So let's get started. So I told you guys I was going to have a special guest on. It's Jay Carter with the Jay Carter Law Group. She's out there in LA, and she's going to be giving us some hot topics, okay? We're going to talk about some good stuff. So introduce yourself first and foremost. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you, Nadia, for having me. We've been connecting kind of back and forth on Instagram with various hot topics.
I love your Instagram, and I love your hot topics.
Well, my Instagram is an extension of my law practice, the Carter Law Group. I'm also a Pepperdine law professor out here in Malibu, California. So it's all an extension of what I teach and what I practice. It's a way for me to have an upbeat kind of like way of connecting with my audience with topics that we're already talking about anyway. I consider myself Wendy Williams, just, Wendy's Williams Hot Topics just with substance. Yes. Because I obviously break it down with the actual law. It's not just my opinion and speculation. So I'm more than happy to infotain. I call it infotain your guests this evening.
Yes, they're really excited because I told them that you were going to be on the show, and I've been giving everybody a good old heads up. So we are ready. First things first, I want to talk about, and please don't mind me if I get a little deeper into it. I want to talk about Vanessa Bryant and her mama. We all have mommy issues. There are some people that genuinely have mommy issues, okay? And you can clearly see that these two have some type of quarrel going on. from my understanding, and this is all speculation, this is all new, like the story just kind of like broke yesterday or something like that. From my understanding, her mom is suing her for $96 an hour of back babysitting pay. She, well, and I'm sorry, for 18 years. And she wants $5 million, just flat out cash. And she wants a new home and a new SUV. Now, Vanessa Bryant gave a statement that she wrote on her Instagram story. Okay, now I'm gonna find it and read it. But your first thoughts, like, what are you thinking? I know. It's like, what? That's your mama.
Well, I think before we even jump into the law, I think you have to look in the context of, like you said, the relationship. This is a young lady. I mean, she's 36 now, but she was 18 years old when she left her mom's house, like 17 turning 18. Married a celebrity, a superstar. I mean, she was literally a baby when she left her mom. She literally went from her mother's house to Kobe's house. So it was like, you know, so she's never been like a single
entitled.
Woman. Right. She's never been a single woman under kind of her own roof. She went from being a daughter to someone's wife, and not anyone's wife, a major athlete. So I think you have to put that into context. I think even Kobe struggled at one point with his parents wanting money or needing money. And so I think you really have to look at this in the context of people sometimes feeling entitled to their children's access to money, whether they're earning it or their significant others are earning it. And, you know, sometimes people try to bring their families in to the fold and give them jobs and things like that. So it doesn't feel like it's just them giving it out. They feel like at some level they're working, you know, with them. So yeah, I think for starters, I think that's where this started, right?
The root comes from.
Like, I'm gonna bring her on. You know, I can give her something. She can help me with the kids. I'm sure it came out of. She was 18 years old. And I think she had her first child. I want to say she had her first child at 20 or 21. I don't think she was older than 21. She had her children fairly young. She has 4 now. Her first 2 out the gate. Yeah. So I think we have to look at the context, and I'm sure a judge is also going to look at it in the same context if it gets this far. I have a very strong belief this will probably settle out of court. So yeah,
because that's mama.
I'll let you read what she had on her Instagram.
Okay, so she wrote something. So she wrote a few things on her story, and she wrote these memes, right? Like, sense of entitlement, I deserve it just because I feel so and say so. Like, little, like, kind of like subbing her mama. You know what I'm saying? Another one, a man is not by nature deserving of all that he wants. When, you know, just a little bullshit like that. Now, this is what she physically wrote. My mother is continuing to try and find ways to extort a financial windfall from our family. I have supported her for nearly 20 years. And she was never me or Kobe's personal assistant, nor was she a nanny. I have always been a stay-at-home mother, and my husband and I were our daughter's full-time caregivers. For nearly 2 decades, we arranged for my mother to live in our nearby property at no cost to her, because she had claimed she couldn't do it because she didn't have any money from her divorce. My husband and I felt it was best for her not to live in our home. She watched our girls from time to time, just like most grandmothers do. She did not take care of business issues or expenses. She was a grandmother who was supported by me and her son-in-law at my request. She now wants to back charge me $96 per hour for supposedly working 12 hours a day for 18 years for watching her grandchildren. In reality, she only occasionally babysat my oldest girls when they were toddlers. As of 10 years ago, our kids were full-time students and athletes, and I didn't have another child until 2016. Her claims are obviously false, but I still tried to repeatedly to work things out with my mother. countering to what she's saying. I haven't left my children's side since the accident. And, you know, basically, she's just going on and saying this is all fluff.
Right. That listen, based on the time frames of the ages of my children, if you watched anybody, it was the first two, not the last two. The last two, I just had them in the last 4 years. And for the most part, you don't really see Vanessa. You know, a lot of basketball wives have hairline and beauty lines and partnerships, and they get into other stuff. Other than being a part of his charitable foundation now, she's not one of these basketball wives that felt the need to have her own business, her own brand. Her brand has been Kobe Bryant's wife. So she's been a stay-at-home mom this whole time, even with any assistance from her mom. Legally, because I know that's why I'm here. I think that at the most, the grandmother can maybe try to put in for, it's not necessarily breach of contract because there's no contract, but anytime.
No verbal.
Right, or verbal. But anytime there isn't a contract, written or oral, but you receive services from someone and you benefit from them, the court will a lot of times find that you should pay that person because you benefited from those services. And it's called a quantum merit contract claim. And so she could probably pursue that and then do her calculation and say, you know, well, X amount of years, X amount of hours at this average rate. She would obviously have to show proof that $95 an hour is justified. I know Hollywood nannies out here only making $25 an hour, so I don't know where she's getting $95 an hour from.
She's overcharging.
Yeah. So whatever it is, even if the judge bought that she was owed something, I don't think it would be calculated at 95 or 96. And I also think, to Vanessa's point, it's not going to be for like the full 18 years. It'll probably only be a portion of that time for the first two children.
And what about just being a typical grandmother? Like, whatever happened to that? I mean, that's the part that I don't understand. Like, whatever happened to grandma, just watch the kids.
I think that's the biggest thing Vanessa can push for. That she had this is not a stranger in our home performing services. And this was her mom. And if she had known, if she had known that her mom was going to at any point request money in exchange for these babysitting services, then of course she would have just worked something out outside of this. That, you know, the minute the services were performed, it was never under her understanding that at any point she would be charged. And that's the strongest argument Vanessa has. And I think overall, Vanessa will probably win this. Yeah.
I want to talk about Lil Wayne because Lil Wayne has a lot of shit going on right now. Okay. Like, when I mean a lot of stuff, I mean he has a lot of crap he has to deal with. One, he sold his masters, okay? He sold his masters to Universal Music Group for over $100 million. He's also being sued by his former manager, if I'm not mistaken, for $20 million for unpaid commission. And then he's also having this gun charge.
Right. There's a lot. I mean, obviously there's some
contractual things going on. He's flip-flopping with his girlfriend and then the whole Trump thing. Like, what's going on with Lil Wayne?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I try to still claim him because he's a Carter. But I don't know. Just like, we ain't got too many Carters. So I'm trying, like, at least in the spotlight. So I'm still trying to claim him. But, you know, I think, you know, I can't speak on, you know, his political beliefs and things like that. I think sometimes people like to do things to get attention, but I do think it just sometimes when it rains, it pours. And I think that with him, I just think a lot of things are just happening, and because they're being reported all at once, it just seems like a lot. I think starting with let's start backwards. The criminal law, that's kind of like the oldest thing. They've been kind of sitting on whether to charge him for almost a year. So I know it's just coming out, but yeah, almost a year. They've been kind of like, you know, should we charge him? They finally decided to charge him because he is a convicted felon. He served for, I think, 6 months to a year before on our previous gun charge back in 2007. And so once you're convicted, you are not supposed to possess a firearm. So for him to be caught with a firearm again, he could face up to 10 years in prison. I don't obviously think if he is found guilty, again, they have to find him guilty. If they find him guilty, they will give him the 10 years. It'll be probably something like 2 to 3 years, time served, some sort of probation, community service. They're not sending Lil Wayne to jail for 10 years over again. Especially right now with COVID, they're not really trying to lock people up. It's just, and he's a celebrity. It's just a lot of layers to that. So I can almost 90 to 95% say he's not going to jail for 10 years if they actually find him guilty. Because these, again, they're just charges. They have to prove them. And it's the prosecution. I think a lot of times people forget in criminal law, it's the prosecution's job to prove that you're guilty, even if you are guilty. That's your job to prove that you're guilty. It's their job. Yeah. So obviously, I don't know what sort of evidence they have, but he's not going to jail for 10 years. And I hope this is the last time he is caught up in something as it relates to drugs or guns or whatever, because they're just looking for an excuse to lock black men up. Let's just.
So not to like switch subjects because I do want to keep on going with this one, but they are locking up a lot of rappers and a lot of entertainers right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It may be to prove a point, but again, even with the people they're locking up, it's never like the full sentence. I mean, some of this I just think it's almost like the blessing and the curse. It's a blessing at some level to be a celebrity and be arrested because you probably won't get the whole time, but then you could get that one prosecutor that wants to make an example out of you, and then you do get the whole time, or you get overly charged, or whatever the case may be. Switching gears to kind of his civil stuff, if he owns his manager, obviously commissions of any sort, I'm sure that can easily be proven. So if it's $20 million, I'm pretty sure, you have to remember managers, like agents, don't get paid in advance. They only get paid when you get paid. So that's why managers and agents only take on certain people. It took me, I'm still fortunate to have done it within, 2 or 3 years, but I got an agent, but it was very difficult to get an agent in Hollywood. They don't just accept you just because you have a certain portfolio, you have a certain look. They're like hundreds of people that have that. So for him to have a manager, yeah, I mean, he was never getting paid upfront. It was always a back end thing. And so I'm sure if there's enough proof there, that manager shouldn't have any issue. And again, it's not going to court. That's going to settle. It's not even worth it to take that type of thing to court.
They got to get their paperwork together. Hopefully there was some kind of paper trail.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of times these people aren't managing their own money. And I think an accountant could easily settle this for him. If you just sold your catalog, as you mentioned.
What is, first off, there's a company, I want to say out of the UK, out of London. I can look it up real quick. They've been buying catalogs. They buy LA Reid's. They're working with Nile Rodgers. I believe they're working with Timbaland. But people are selling catalogs right now. A lot of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy money if you own a catalog. I mean, Michael Jackson owned a big part of the Beatles catalog. Yeah. So, and that's still a part of his estate to this day. Just think of it this way: a catalog is an asset. It's almost like a home. It's like a house. It's like a home. So it's like a musical home. So it's not like a building, but it's an asset. And that music asset allows you to get paid every time that song is sold. So you have, there are 3 ways in music people get paid legally. You have the songwriters when the song is used for stuff like movies and commercials and things like that. If a song is used, you got the mechanical royalties going to the publisher and the person that actually writes the song, which may not even be the artist, because there's some artists that don't write and sing their own music. So that's mechanical. Then you have when they perform it, right? The artist and the label gets money for that. And then you have when it's sold. So when it's sold, who gets the most money from when a song is sold? The person that owns the master recording. 9 times out of 10, your favorite artist does not own the master recordings to their song. It's part of their deal with the record label that the label owns the masters, but by them being the artist and singing it, they're going to share in it. But the percentage of the record label is much higher. So I'm not shocked. I mean, you have to also remember times. I mean, I really don't think times are that hard for Lil Wayne that he needed to really sell it. But it's $100 million. And who knows? I mean, he's got all these legal cases. He's paying lawyers. Who knows what else he may be in debt. We don't really know all of his business. So from us, it's like, you probably didn't even really need to, yes, who wouldn't want $100 million? We probably don't even need $100 million, right. At least from our perspective. But something could be going on where he needs $100 million. So maybe he was like, well, let me sell something I know I can sell. So
right. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about
some ongoing stories. I know you
yes,
wanted to.
I was gonna say, because I've been flabbergasted with, like, when I tell you, I've been flabbergasted with all this. First off, what's going on in Los Angeles? We had a conversation where I was like, well, women want equal rights, but not equal responsibilities. So it's really annoying how California, but you were like, it doesn't matter. California, it doesn't matter who makes the most money.
Right.
You got to
So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, you probably see a lot of divorce cases like Kelly Clarkson, and just keep going. Dr. Dre, which is a big one, which I can talk about since obviously it's an ongoing cases. In either scenario, you have obviously one person making more money than the other. And so California, like, a few other states really don't care about the sex of the person. They just look at who's bringing what to the table, and they look at how that person's lifestyle was with you. And the argument is their lifestyle, whether they be a man or woman, should not have to change because y'all not gonna be together anymore. Spousal support isn't forever though. They remarry. They remarry, and then there's also just like a certain period of time put on it. It's not forever, A. And B, it's also if they move on in another relationship, then automatically they don't get it. So there are some parameters on it. But generally speaking, yeah, if you're not making as much, you marry someone in California, you can easily get spousal support, which is different from child support. Child support is a hardcore calculation in every state. Every state has a calculator. In the case of Kelly Clarkson, I know she has some small children, but I don't think that's a dispute there. Turning to Dr. Dre, where, again, similar situation where you have one person that's making way more money, and that's the celebrity. In this case, it's a guy. You really have an ongoing case of multiple legal matters. You have a criminal matter. You have a trademark matter. You have a contractual matter with the prenup. And then you have obviously just the general family law matter, not child support, but obviously spousal support. So you have 4 different matters all layered into one. But they're all stemming over who gets what, right? So with the trademark matter, Dr. Dre, again, a trademark, like a music catalog, it's an asset. So if you own if you're the registered owner of a trademark, and this is why I encourage people to register a trademark. You never know what's going to be hot, and somebody's going to want to license it from you or whatever the case may be. So Dr. Dre is a trademark, okay, a big one. And, you got Dre by Beats and all that. And she's like, at one point, I own 50% of it. And he went behind my back and re-registered under a holding.
You cannot do that. Why would you even do that?
And the interesting thing is he did it before. So this must not be new with them having issues. I mean, they've been married. I have to give so they've been married for quite some time. I didn't think at this point people in their 50s would even, because it's like, what's the point of getting a divorce at this point? But I didn't even think, I felt like if they made it this long, they weren't going to get a divorce, regardless of what was going on. But I'm sure everybody has their limits of whatever's happening.
That's what I was just about to say. It doesn't matter how long you've been together. Sometimes
everybody has their... Yeah,
and when you get older, when you get to a certain age, you don't want drama no more. You're tired.
Yeah, and
you're literally like, why?
Walk away.
You tell me you're this older, you're still doing this kind of drama,
and get someone that's not going to give her the drama. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so whatever the reasons may be, they're divorcing. The trademark is an issue. He tried to fight back and say, well, she extorted money from me. She said I went behind her back. She went behind my back. Here's the check. I didn't tell her to write this check out of the company account, right?
She's the wife.
Right. I guess he can say it was misused. Maybe, she took it out of the company account. I'm sure he's going to make whatever
I mean, what did
colorful
she
argument
do?
he
Did
needs to
she
make.
go and like buy?
But here's my point. If you've known about it this long, clearly it's not extortion. So you would have said something back in the day, like you shouldn't have, you need to put it back, take it out of our personal account, don't take it out of our company account. Whatever his arguments are, I just feel like, and I don't even know the statute of limitations on extortion, but in California, but I think he did that because of the trademark thing. He also did it because she keeps saying that keeps saying that she was feeling threatened and pressured to sign the prenup in contractual law in all states. So a prenup is considered a contract. It's a type of contract. And if anybody signs anything under duress, that's one of the ways you can throw it out. Or duress and fraud are two of the hardest things to prove in the law. And
So wait a minute. So for the slow people in the back, let's talk about what exactly is duress. Because I'm like, wait, what?
duress has to be you're put under pressure, unusual pressure, almost like you're being threatened to do something. Yeah, like you're like either you do it or something bad is gonna happen. So you're basically under threat and force sign something. And so of course he's like, this is ridiculous. And I think she even mentioned something that at one point he had ripped the prenup up. And in some states, ripping it up means that it no longer exists. But in California, that's not going to fly. So you still got this whole prenup issue going on. And basically he's saying, well, if you want to say that I forced you, let's call in the witnesses. Let's call in the people that came to the wedding. But the problem is, unless she signed the day of the wedding and they witnessed it, I'm not sure how wedding guests would be relevant to the signing of that particular contract.
A lot for him.
Yeah. And then, even if he could get it in, which I doubt he can, it's not relevant. She's then countering with, well, I want to bring in your mistresses. And this goes to not the prenup, but goes to, some states you have to prove that someone was at fault for the divorce. And so, she's proving fault to increase how much money she could make out with. And that's part of, the fault.
You're supposed to aim high when it comes to any kind of court case. If you're talking money in a court case, you're supposed to aim high and then negotiate down. You're not supposed to just be like, oh, well, I think I'm worth this. And then,
but no. I think, and not defending Dr. Dre, but to, I think, his original point, because now he's getting just as petty as she is. But in the beginning, he wasn't. He was kind of like still kind of defending her, like, we're kind of going our separate ways. We're going to work it out. And I think to his point in the beginning, listen, our prenup lays out everything that you'll get. You're still getting that, which is a whole lot. And I'm actually willing to give you spousal support. Maybe not $1.2 million in spousal support, which she was asking
going for it, though.
Right, which was a big story in this divorce thing. But he's totally willing to give. So it's not like he's coming from this place of, you're not getting no spousal support. You're not getting none of my assets. I think he's like, let's just stick to what's in the paper. And on top of that, I'll give you the spousal support. And let's just close this out civilly. But the minute she was like, oh, he pressured me and he threatened me and this and that, and then start trying to come after his name, his trademark, I think that it just went downhill from there. Yeah. So, and I don't know if you've ever watched the movie. It's Oscar-winning movie called Marriage Story on Netflix. But the woman who is Scarlett Johansson, who is divorcing her husband. She's an actress divorcing her husband. She gets this woman to represent her who is the top divorce. Like, if you're going to divorce in California, that's who you want to hire because you're going to get everything you want, right? Forget her name in real life. But guess what? That is Nicole's lawyer. So the lady that plays that woman's lawyer in that movie, she got her. So she got the top divorce California lawyer that you can find, especially a woman divorce lawyer in California. And so when I heard that
she ain't playing with him.
She's not playing. This woman gets what she wants. But to that extent, it's interesting that the movie actually says, there are really no winners in family law. Because by the time you spend all this money paying the lawyers to get what you want, you kind of dug into what you would have gotten. So you end up almost where you started. So you should just be reasonable in the beginning and not waste all this money on attorneys. So
got you.
Dre, Nicole, watch Marriage Story on Netflix. I think you'll walk away with a different appreciation for what's happening now.
And what's going on with Blac Chyna?
Blac Chyna, another ongoing one. Um, you know, again, multiple layers. So there was a custody issue because she's no longer with Rob Kardashian. Then it evolved to a revenge porn. Then, with him leaking her photos, and then, obviously her suing in California. And that's a big statute in California. That's a big no-no. And then it evolving to him fighting back and saying, well, you tried to strangle me. So an assault case.
Isn't he like hella big, and then she like not that big?
Well, supposedly it was with a cord. Like, anybody can put a cord around your neck. It was an iPhone cord, supposedly.
An iPhone? That thing would snap it. Girl, bye.
Yeah, and supposedly she pointed a gun at him.
He's trying it.
And here's the thing. She probably did all those things. I would not put it past her. In a fight and in anger, she very well could have done all those things. Can he prove it? Probably not, without some witnesses or so. I think he says there's some iPhone story footage on Instagram that at one point he was recording. I don't know. Again, I don't have the evidence, but you can charge and go up against somebody all you want for certain charges. You have to prove it. In this case, it's not criminal. It's civil assault, not criminal assault. So there's that. And then we close out with her ongoing lawsuit against the Kardashians. And I think it's mostly just Kris Jenner, Khloe, and Kim. I think she got rid of everybody else in the lawsuit about tortious interference with her E contract. Because, you want that E money. You want that Bravo. Because Bravo, that's NBC. No shade to Zeus, but Zeus is not E. And it's not going to be like this ongoing thing where you're getting this huge check. Zeus is a streaming device. E is a major network. So she definitely lost out. And, they have the saying, the devil works harder, but Kris Jenner works harder. That is not, if you're trying to get into reality TV, that is not someone you cross ever. Right. Whether you're dating or friends or whatever, the people no one's going to buy your show.
Your fault or not, right? You got to kiss low ass.
Yeah, you got to kiss. Yeah. It's certain royalty and there's certain levels in reality that you just don't go up against. So with that being said,
wait a minute, not to cut you off, but let's just talk about the fundamentals here. Kris Jenner's a Scorpio. So they're really big on revenge if they feel like it's time to cross that line.
Okay.
Kim is a Libra.
And Blac Chyna is a Taurus like me.
and so she's a bull. She's going full. So and then Khloe is a Cancer. I'm a Cancer. We are very protective of our family and friends. We will.
And
fight.
Khloe.
Oh God. This is a mess.
Khloe might as well be Rob's mom, like second mom. She's like the second mom to the other kids too. Kendall and Kylie. Yeah, she's almost like a mother figure with them. This is what I'll say. First of all, the custody thing, that ain't going anywhere. He's not going to get full custody. So that you got to prove someone's unfit. He tried to say she was doing drugs and some other stuff, but that never went anywhere. Yeah. So it's going to stay 50-50. She doesn't get any child support from him because it's 50-50. It's not like one parent has child support.
California.
Right. So there's no money coming to
I do not ever want to move to California.
So at some level, I respect the fact that she's like, you know what? I have her half the time. I mean, you can pay for and buy the things you want to pay for her, but I don't need you sending me a check every month. She also doesn't get child support for Tiger either. So,
she makes a lot of money on OnlyFans. She's like, from my understanding, if not she is the highest paid person.
And even if she didn't have OnlyFans, I mean, OnlyFans is fairly new. She had, before COVID, she had an actual spa here in LA that did pretty well. And even without the spa, she had both makeup and skin line products. She has a clothing boutique online. And then she's also getting into music. So she has about 4 other streams of income. Then TV, even with Zeus, that's 5. So with OnlyFans, you're looking at about 6 streams of income. You can't say the girl isn't working hard. But I'm sorry, I have to slap her on the hand. She's from DC, like me, DC girl.
Hey, I got family up there.
Yeah, she fumbled the bag. I would have married.
You think she fumbled the bag?
She should have. Yeah, she fumbled the bag because You could have married Rob Kardashian. You would have had the Kardashian name forever. I mean, technically her child does, but that's a little different from
That's
you.
true.
She even went to the extent of trademarking Angela Kardashian. Okay, so you knew the value of it. So I would have faked it until I made it. I would have married him, even if it was for a year, and then I would have cordially separated from him. And I still would have been friends with him. I would have been friends with his family. She did not handle this. Someone was not coaching her. Girl, you had it right at the finish line. You already had the baby. All you had to do was marry him. And so, yeah, even with everything she's got going on, that was probably her biggest mistake. She should have, I'm not saying she should have stayed married to him, but she should have married Rob Kardashian. Right. Definitely. So with that being said, the child support is out. In terms
and
of
in LA make less money than him, so she don't gotta pay.
Right. So the child custody that's out. They are keeping the assault case, unfortunately, for her. They said there was enough evidence, so they're not dismissing it. But then she also recently had a win because they're keeping the case, the contract case. Now she hasn't won the case completely, but she did file. A lot of people kind of misread the story I had even on my page. She didn't win, but she won a motion. She didn't win the case, right? Winning the case means they're going to have to give her money or give her a show on E! She's not that far down the line. She won a motion that they have to turn over the footage that they never gave her, which shows that there was this additional footage that could have been created into like another show or another season. So she did file a motion, good for her, but she's not at the finish line. And then her revenge porn suit, to my knowledge, is still going on. I kind of heard that she was going to maybe drop it since he dropped, the child support thing. But I think child custody thing. But I think he would also have to drop the assault charges for her to probably drop the revenge porn. So right now she's got 2 cases in her favor, still ongoing, and then 1 case against her with the assault.
Child. Now, there was one more case that you wanted to talk about. What was it?
Our famous reality star president, Donald Trump, because a lot of times people will ask me.
He's a mess.
And we can say the best or the worst for last, as they say. The reason why I wanted to briefly talk about this is because, politics is legal, like how our society is set up with the Constitution. And then he was a reality star. He was an
wait
entertainer.
A minute. Let me stop you for 1 second. Are you going to take the vaccine?
Am I going to take the vaccine? I will maybe eventually take it. I'm not going to take it out the gate. Not so much that I'm scared to. To be honest, I don't really get sick. I've actually never even taken the flu vaccine. So,
me either.
I've been here a long time and never taken a flu vaccine. I don't think I've even had the flu. I think I've had maybe like a bad cold, maybe twice in my life. I have like an unusual.
You're healthy. You eat healthy. You're
beautiful. So it's one of those things where, if it gets to a point that I'm working at, maybe I'm doing something in TV, or maybe I'm back on like a law school campus where they're like, listen, you got to take it, then probably at that point. But even if I wanted to take it right now, you're just not, if you're younger, if you're healthy, you're not in that group. It's healthcare workers, nursing home facilities, and then it's going to be the older, if you're like, 50 and up. So even if I wanted to take it right now, it would even be accessible to me. So, and I think at this point, it actually works out because it gives time to see how it's working, how people are reacting to it, how people are feeling. I think my mom was laughing and said some nurse fell out today taking it. And she said, I faint all the time. There's nothing to do. And I said, yeah, but you girl, you cannot be the poster child for the vaccine falling out. You scaring people away from taking it. So, and I know
we got trust issues.
I'm sorry.
We got trust issues.
I know we have a history to Tuskegee Airmen, all that, but I do in general trust the science behind general vaccines. I mean, if you can take the flu vaccine, if you've never had any issues with that, it'll be different if you've never taken a vaccine, then you're being consistent. But if you're taking flu, if you're taking other vaccines, this one is over 90% effective versus the flu vaccine is only 50 to 60. So it's highly effective. So, I'm not saying go rush and take it, but don't count it out just yet.
I was going to say Donald Trump wants full credit for the vaccine, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
He wants his legacy to be like, oh, this is my vaccine. I left leaving you guys with medicine and woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, no, but he was totally against the medicine and the science behind wearing the mask at first. So he just needs to continue to bow out gracefully, which leads me to the hot topic point we can close out with, and what I wanted to discuss.
He ain't bowing out gracefully. He's just a mess.
Yeah, I know that's not going to happen. So that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about, him not bowing out gracefully. So in addition to what he's already done, so he had a couple of ways of still being president right after the election. He could have proved that there was some sort of fraud, got a couple of states to overturn, the ballots and all that. That didn't work out, right? Every single state, right, denied his lawsuits. Then he went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court denied. So
he even got that woman, Amy, what's her name, thinking she was going to be help. The joke's on him.
Right. She was like, no.
He thought he knew the law so much that he thought that he could just appoint people in certain places, and then when the shit is
and it was just gonna work out. And don't get me wrong, it worked a little bit. There was some people behind him following the lawsuits, like kind of flying him blindly like a sheep. Like, it worked to an extent. They weren't successful, but they definitely did what he said. In the event he won, they wanted to be on his good side. So none of that worked out, right? The individual state cases, the Supreme Court didn't work out. So then he had at that point three other ways he could do it. He could change out the people in the electoral college. She doesn't understand. All your votes go in, and then the people in the electoral college say, yes, these votes are good for the state of this, state of this, state of, each state person that's appointed, the electoral person for that state says, yes, this is valid. And yes, this vote counts for Joe. This vote counts for Trump, right? He wanted to change some of those people out at the last minute so he could sway their vote. That didn't work, right? So now on January 6th, they're supposed to certify it because they've already said that these are the votes. I think Joe got like 336 or something, and he got like 220 something. Obviously, over the 270 needed. It's clear, right? At this point, that Joe Biden won fair and square. He's going to debate them on the floor. I guarantee you, because he has the right to, he's going to try to do that. Which again, you can debate all you want. That doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere, but he is going to try to do that.
And you see my face? Do you see my face? I can't even.
I know.
Hear what
it just seems
saying.
like it's
I'm
never
like,
going to end. I know. But then I told someone, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. So the only card, and when I say the only card he has left, and I don't think he's this crazy to pull it, but then
he's trying.
This is a narcissistic, right? He literally suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. It's a real disorder, NPD. It's a sociopath.
It's a real disorder.
Right. He can start a civil war. If you start a civil war, so a war within your country, if there's a war started, then technically the sitting president has to stay. Can't bring on the new president. And so you've got a lot of Black Panthers riling up, a lot of Trumpers riling up. So
they were in DC tearing down the Black Lives Matter signs and the Proud Boys. I saw that. I saw that.
Between now and the 20th, technically a civil war has started. He will not leave on the 20th. There will be no inauguration for Joe Biden. He will be allowed to stay.
Do you think that it's likely that a civil war could happen, or do you think that we have enough common sense
I'll be honest. I think it's 50-50.
Okay.
I think he could very well stir up. You have to remember, you had a lot of people vote. It wasn't like, nobody voted for this man. He had millions of people vote for him. And the majority of those people, tend to skew towards being more racist, more conservative, more this, more that. So at the end of the day, I would hope he would not pull this last card just because this is the only card. So that's, I'm just like, no, I don't think he'll do it. But then the other 50% is like, it doesn't really take much for him to stir up a civil war. He doesn't have anything to lose. He's trying to stay in the White House for
his
several
daughter
reasons,
and his I was gonna say his daughter and his son-in-law just bought property, like huge property in Florida for like 31. I don't know the number. It's like $31 million or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, so, but someone is telling me. Listen, he also doesn't. I don't think someone's like, you're right. He doesn't probably really want to be president. This is about him losing, but it's also about him covering his butt. New York has already said they're going to charge him the minute he's out of office with various crimes.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah,
he don't want to go to jail. He don't want to go to prison.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid charges. He's also still trying to have leverage with the banks because by him being president of the United States, people still give him money for these things he does
He's
for his
making a
businesses.
lot of money too from the
Yeah, the
whole
last 2 weeks he
fraud
raised
thing.
$200 million.
Yep.
$200 million just to fight back against whatever. And I'm sure he did pay some lawyers with that money, but I'm pretty sure the rest of it went into his pocket. So it's a lot. It's a money grab. It's a ego thing. It's I'm trying to skip criminal charges thing. It's I want to continue to back my businesses. I don't have any leverage if I'm not president thing. So he's got plenty of reasons to stay. Right.
Because I also know that in order to pardon someone, you have to commit the crime and then pardon them. But you think that they're going to
he can't pardon himself, so he would have to temporarily make like Vice President Pence like.
And then I was going to say, though, do you think that even his people are going to like admit to a crime to get pardoned? No.
Well, you actually don't have to admit to the crime.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't have to admit to it. Yeah, you don't have to say, yes, I did it. Yeah. You just have to be found guilty of it. So, yeah. So, anyway, with that being said, yeah, I threw him in there just because I know this was a big election year. This wasn't an election that went smoothly. We've been held in limbo for months. And now, even though we're going into January, you would think, okay, Joe Biden will get inaugurated. Trump will get on the plane. That's it. It's over. But he's got one more last card to pull constitutionally with the Civil War. And so I'm just praying, and I hope we're all praying that that doesn't happen. Yeah. So hopefully your viewers got a whole lot in this nutshell. I tried to do some new stories, stories.
You did that. I really want to talk about too, your special that you got going on right now when it comes to trademarking. And please talk about the importance of trademarking.
Yeah, thank you. So part of my my practice obviously talks about a lot of these stories. Some of these stories obviously fall out the purview of my law firm. So I'm not doing criminal law and things like that or family law. Actually, I used to do family law. I rebranded, part of rebranding my practice as a copyright, trademark, contract firm, was doing this entertainment platform with these stories. One of the main things we do is trademark law. And so we register your trademarks. We can help defend your trademarks if you're currently in an opposition. Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
What is it? Esquire?
Yeah, Esquire, ESQ. When you pass the bar, you put the ESQ at the end of your name, you earn it. It's almost like an MD.
Accomplishment.
Yeah. Here's the thing. A lot of people say they want to be lawyers. A lot of people say they want to go to law school, but to actually do that and then on top of that, pass the bar, it's a lot of money, time, and energy. And so it's not for the faint at heart, but we do need more Black lawyers. I mean, all we did today was talk about various legal cases affecting not all, but mostly, our people, right? And so changing the laws and having better representation with more people that look like us is the way to go. And so I'm personally even a part outside of my law firm, a part of various organizations that work to diversify the legal profession with more minorities and women. So definitely a passion of mine. So yeah, anyway, definitely.
So I have a quick question because I still want to plug and like talk about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. How is it that Black women in particular, but Black people too, but like Black women, how specifically are we able to change the course of our systemic issues, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like
the short
and then
answer,
also, how do you fight against your issues trying to fight for other people?
Yeah. I'll answer that two ways. One, short answer, how do you change systemic issues? You start with the law, to be honest, because it doesn't really matter whether it's a Black judge, a white judge, Asian judge. It's going to come down to the judge, right? Mm-hmm. They have to follow the rules. Just like it doesn't matter if it's an all Black jury or all white jury. They have to follow the rules. So, this is why staying your ground is so controversial, because he whatever his name is, was it not Zuckerberg? Why am I saying Zuckerberg? What was that? It's been so long, and I tried to almost erase him from my mind because that case just haunts me. But the defendant in the trademark,
I know. Well, we all know
him. He stood on stand your ground. If Stand Your Ground did not exist, he would be in jail today. But he was able to stand on a law, on the books that most people didn't even know was on their books. This is why it's important to not just elect presidents and vice presidents. You have to elect the right senators and
judges
and
police
congressmen
chiefs
and DAs and stuff like that, because they actually affect you more than the president. Like, the laws that touch you the most are the ones that are in your state, in your country. So first, change the law. 2, elect better officials that are going to have everyone's, interests at heart, but specifically minorities. And then I would also say just have more legal representation, where you have more women, you have more minorities as the lawyers in these courtrooms, so that when you have these messed up laws, or you have these messed up officials, you still can maybe have one more chance at it by having a great counsel. But I'll be honest with you, it's the law more than those other 2 things. And a lot of laws are being overturned. A lot of laws with criminal justice reform. Gascon, who beat up DA Lacey, who was one of the first, was the first Black woman DA, Los Angeles County, largest county in the United States, which was a huge feat for her. She did it, I think, for at least 7 years. She got beat out by a white prosecutor. I think he's from San Francisco, San Diego. But anyway, the reason why he won was because he really pushed, like, hey, people are just sitting up in jail way too long. Like, we want to punish people for doing wrong, but we're overly punishing people. The United States has the biggest incarcerated population in the world. So our incarcerated people in the United, we have more in the world. We have the most. And then within the United States, the majority of them reside between Texas and California. So it's a big deal for California to come out the gate and say, with this new DA, I mean, he did a whole memo. He read them. He read those DAs. Like, you're going to have to follow what I'm saying. You're going to have to resentence these people. The crime should be more appropriate or proportioned to the punishment. Needs to be more balanced. He wrote a whole 3-page memo. Of course, some incarcerated people I've worked with in the past, they're emailing like, did you see that memo? Did you see that memo? I'm like, yeah, this is a good thing. This means you may be getting out, because you've got people literally spending 10, 15, 20 years just wasting away. I mean, they're doing their best to be productive, but they could be being way more productive out here in, society. And these people are not murderers.
Right. They have
Yeah, most of the time these people are maybe drug offenses, maybe a gun.
It's not violent.
Where it's not violent. The end of the world. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that has happened. But I think, and segueing part of the reason why I became a lawyer was because I didn't see a lot of people that look like me. I didn't realize, you could just get paid to argue, all these things that I was naturally good at. I was naturally, always defended, my sister and brother. I was, always the mediator. I was the middle child. So I have always been a lawyer growing up. Even before entering, law school, I've always had that position, even in my family. So yeah, like I said, I started the Carter Law Group. It was mostly family law, business law. Now it's mostly intellectual property and business entertainment practice, where our focus is like contracts, business formation, and then copyrights and trademarks. And I know you were asking me a little bit before about what's going on with trademarks.
Well, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
I started. Okay, so I'm not trying to be weird, right? Okay.
No.
But seriously. So I started the podcast with a girl, and then 6 months down the line, she ended up quitting, and then she ended up copying everything that I do when she met me.
Is she still calling it Two Chicks With A Mic?
No, but
okay, that's good. Okay.
So she's no longer podcasting, but I also do photography and also have like an online boutique. Okay. So she literally met me. She followed me on Instagram for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. Okay. And then when she slid in my DM and she asked to do business with me, she decided to, do the business with me. And then when she decided to quit 6 months down the line, I discovered a few months later after she quit that she has an online boutique doing the same thing I do. And then she bought a camera. Now, mind you, anybody can make a chair. So I'm not saying that she could not be a photographer. Right. I'm just saying don't be a crab in a barrel, right? I'm just saying, I'm just talking about the African proverb of you go further together versus you can go fast by yourself.
And some people will.
So legally, like, oh, and you know, and then same thing with like, you know, like Megan Thee Stallion, like she launched her Fashion Nova
collection.
boutique, and then all these
Right.
other people came back like, yo, what is the deal with copying, copywriting? Like, how
Right,
can
right.
people just do this?
Yeah, I think you have to look at it that you have to figure out um things that are actionable under copyright and trademark. You know, everything isn't actionable. Sometimes people mix up copyright and trademark. Trademark are words, sounds, logo designs, things that indicate the source of where that product comes from. So if we were trademarking Two Chicks with a Mic, it's like we're trademarking it because we don't want any other podcast to go out with that name and people think it's you. Right. We want to protect you as the source of, you put all the brand equity and time and energy into that name. And so you would file it under that podcast category because trademarks, you know, they're very various categories for products and services. And so for yours would be this service, right, of a podcast. And yeah, so that's the whole point of a trademark, the source, versus copyright protects the expression of an idea. So when people are getting on Megan about, well, I had a similar cut design dress, you know, certain designs are not even copyrightable. They're not going to even let you copyright them. And then for the ones that are, you then would have to show how she had access to your designs to be even aware of them, to copy them in the first place. And of course, Megan is so far removed from her business. Like she says, she has a whole team that pretty much does everything. She just signs off on it. But kind of like B. Simone, you can't be too like, oh, I'm just signing off on stuff and not checking. Like, no, because ultimately they're not going after your team. They're going to put your name in the headline, not Megan's team. So I don't even know if, in fact, her team actually was even aware of this girl's design. It really could just be similar because, you know, the asymmetric cuts and all that. I mean, it's not like it's that novel, but it did look very similar. And so
I'm going to go with the stylist on this one.
Yeah, I would say that even if they did again, it's not copyrightable, so she doesn't have an action. I think it was more Megan kind of closing out the argument with, even if it wasn't actionable, if you had just come to me quietly in a different way, I probably just would have given you some money for it anyway. You know, like if you had just handled it instead of blasting it to make it seem like this is something like I viciously did to you. I took from you. I took your creativity. Like, I'm a woman in creativity. Why would I want to do that to another woman? So I think you have to start off with what you really own. Like, you own, even without registering Two Chicks with a Mic. You started it. You've done it for a while. You can easily register and be the owner and be considered the source. I think you just have to look at what do you own. I mean, unfortunately, fashion boutiques, being a photographer, all those things are not, you can't own those things. I even had a woman who was part of one of my productions for a show who I cut, obviously, because she went crazy on me and one of the other producers. But she literally, the whole argument stemmed from her thinking that I copied off of her women empowerment event. Mind you, there's no copyright or trademark on women empowerment events. I mean, their women empowerment events have been probably happening since the beginning of time. But I think because I was helping her with one, and it was very different from mine. First of all, mine was virtual and was more of a panel. Hers was like a luncheon where she was honoring people, and it was going to be in person and all this other stuff. I mean, it was like night and day. Like, there was nothing. But it wasn't similar. The only thing that was similar, that again, it was a woman empowering, and I had people from different career areas.
Anybody can make a chair. Anybody can make a chair.
And anybody can have a woman empowerment event. But because, again, she was peeping from the other side, looking at how well it was doing, she took offense to it. And instead of just admitting, at least to herself, that she was jealous and I wasn't really doing anything wrong, she went off on me and temporarily thought she forgot.
So I'm interested in clapping back at my ex co-host, because when I met her, she didn't have any skills. She didn't have, like, you know, she was a ticket. She is a ticket agent for Delta. She's not a photographer.
Right. She didn't.
Don't get me wrong. She didn't have an online boutique. What I'm saying is, like, I started my thing in 2008, and it's called All Black, meaning I sell nothing but specialty black items. When you leave me and you start selling nothing but nude and black items, I'm offended.
Yeah. It's like she's literally cutting and pasting. The only thing is, you
Same thing with the photography thing. It's like anybody can be a photographer, but if you want to be a sexy, beautiful photographer, I could have shown you anything you need. I could have taught you anything you wanted to know.
You're offended that clearly you inspired her, but
when I met you, you didn't have a DSLR camera. Now you got one. Literally, like out of nowhere. Like now you just buying a camera. I'm like, girl, bye.
Yeah. What I would say is, unless she infringes upon anything you own, like right now I'm assuming you haven't registered to Chics With A Mic, but you're still considered, you have registered. Okay.
Oh no, I mean, I have an LLC. I haven't trademarked.
You have the company, right? So, but until you register as a trademark, you're still using it. You're still considered the source. So as long as she's not coming after things that you legally own, as much as it probably annoys you that she's copying off you almost have to, like certain people, I don't unfollow them, but I will just mute their timeline because I don't want to see it.
I had to block her because I felt like when I did a hairstyle, then she would do the hairstyle.
Okay, so this is almost like single white female, black female.
Oh my God, you called it. That's exactly what I called her. I said, you're this is single white female shit.
This is beyond business. This is like
and I understand where it stems from, because when you work with people personally, you understand where their trauma stems from. Right. So I understand where it all stems from. I'm not going to bash the girl on a personal level, but
you're just saying wherever it stems from, it's moving beyond business, and it's like she is personally almost trying to copy identity, and that starts to feel like you're almost being stalked, which is a whole nother.
Which is why I was so uncomfortable, because I said, this girl followed me on Instagram for a year and a half. Before she asked to go into business with me, I didn't vet her good enough clearly. And then when we started working together, she leaves me and then starts doing basically me. Right.
She's basically trying to do a copy and paste of who you are, not just professionally, personally. And I think that's the scary part, when you're trying to duplicate hairstyle and makeup and outfits, and that's when inspiration goes too far. And I think,
and I'm not flattered.
Yeah.
And I love paying homage. I'm listen to me, and I'm not trying to make it all personal, but all I'm saying is, like, any human that is talented and loves what they do, they should not be offended by people who are better than them, right? Because that could be subjective. But anybody who is better than them, or anybody who is just really good, right? That should not offend anybody who loves the arts, love what they do, or just love the craft in general.
Because everybody still has their lane and their personal identity on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm sorry all that's happening, but I am hoping that you continue to legally protect Two Chics With A Mic and anything else, because I know you said you're creative. Right. So any sort of, as I was mentioning before, I do have a special right now. I always have a flat fee, so it doesn't really matter when you hire me. But this month in particular, because it is Christmas, it's December, I'm knocking off an extra $500 off my typical flat fee. And then you also get to take advantage of the fact that the trademark board fee, so not my fee for filing it.
Yeah, because it's going to go up, right?
Those fees are going to go up starting next month. And so essentially this month, if you ever wanted to file a trademark, will be probably the cheapest time you could ever in your life file a trademark. Number one, because my fee with $500 off is still going to put it at a very low threshold point, for hiring an attorney to do this. But then on top of that, you're also going to be paying the lowest fee that the trademark has, because it's going up. So
do you know how much it's going to go up?
Yes. So the trademark filing fees go up starting next month. And I don't know about how much. I'm assuming it's going to be anywhere between $50 to $75 at the most, probably for each category.
Girl, that's groceries. Girl, bye.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I'm just saying. Listen, people look to spend their money on Christmas gifts and all this stuff. Look, invest in yourself, invest in your business, invest in your mark. If this is something you think you can swing this month, this is going to be the cheapest you're ever going to get it anyway. I would make it happen. My website is askcarterlaw.com, and I'm Ask Carter Law on every social media handle. So you cannot not find me at Ask Carter Law. But askcarterlaw.com, you go to that contact form, you let us know that you want to file a trademark. My office will be in contact with you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about your business before
No, that's it. I know we were talking about various things. So I wanted to, obviously I do other things. I do contract review. I do copyrights. I do business formation. As you mentioned, you've done your LC. So if you're not interested in a trademark, you've already got a trademark, still feel free to peruse, the website askcarterlaw.com for your other legal needs. I'm very fortunate that, Nadia had me on, that we could talk about these various things, and I could obviously let you guys know what I've got going on with my firm. Hopefully I'll have some new news in the next, 30 to 60 days with some other things I've got going on that I can share with Nadia and you guys as her audience. But I appreciate you having me on and allowing me to share and just kind of like.
And I love the Instagram page. Tell me your Instagram page.
Yeah, so it's at Ask Carter Law. Very easy. Everything is Ask Carter Law. So it's not like, what was her Ask Carter Law? Yeah,
you can't miss it.
Questions. And it's funny because he said, well, how did you come up with it? I said, because people always ask me questions. Because they think I'm a lawyer. They think I know everything. I don't. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I do know a lot about, a lot about a little, but I don't know everything. But people always ask me questions, even if they're not legal questions, just questions in general. And I said, okay, I'm going to call myself Ask Carter Law, because
I think it's a lawyer. It's a catchy, beautiful, great name.
Yeah.
And I asked you to come on the show. So
every social media handle, roll over to the website, askcarterlaw.com. If you're looking for any of those services I mentioned, like I said, trademark, copyright, business formation, anything with intellectual property contracts, any of those things, that I am your girl. I can service you with copyrights and trademarks. I can service you from any state because that's federal law. So it doesn't matter where you live.
Oh, wow.
I can service you. Yeah. So you don't have to live in the DC area for me to serve you. Even business formation, you can be in any state and I can do that for you. So you don't have to live in the DC area for me to do those things. And so it really allows me to kind of be everyone's lawyer, offering kind of these nationwide services.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jay.
All right.
Carter.
Take care. Thank you so much for having me on. And hopefully, like I said, we can chalk it up soon with some other hot topics, legal hot topics.
We will. I'm always going to have you on. You're amazing. I love you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
I know. Happy
holidays. You got your Christmas tree back there. Yeah.
Girl, it's a whole vibe over here.
Yeah, no, you just moved and you got your place set up. Like I said, I'm in DC. I'm not in DC. I'm in LA right now, and then I'll be back in DC where my decorations are actually up. I don't have any decorations up in LA. I'll be back in DC next week.
I'm going back and forth between Atlanta and Washington.
I know the feeling, going back and forth.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It is. But you
and then COVID's hitting, so a lot of people are driving, but I'm not driving and doing all that, so I'm fine. But yeah,
I fly back and forth. But the tickets right now are pretty cheap, and my family with COVID, you just never know what's going to happen.
Be careful.
My brother was injured. So you just
have to be careful.
Just have to be careful. You never know what's going to happen. So
can you believe we're in the middle of a whole pandemic, though?
I know.
A whole one. I'm 36 years old. I don't want to tell your age because you're beautiful and you can be whatever age you want to be. But the mere fact that we are in our younger days and we could tell our grandkids, Chad, I was in a pandemic once.
I know. I don't know if this is something I want to brag about, but it is what it is.
Girl, bye. Right. I love you. I'll talk to you later, okay?
I love the makeup. I love the outfit. I love the Christmas.
Oh, girl, I threw this on just for you. Just for you. Okay.
I know. So definitely look forward to you, splicing it all together.
Yes,
and the final cut. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Have a good holiday.
Talk to you later.
Take care. No problem. Bye.
Bye. I love her. She's so amazing. Oh my God. That's my girl, Jay Carter. So if you are in it doesn't even matter really what area, you could really be anywhere and she really can service you. And she was talking about that. So 2 Chics with a Mic. I'm really happy that you were able to tune in and listen to this. We've been on for a long time now. I'm about to check out. I got my listen. Bye. I'm ready to go. Okay. So 2chicswithamic.com. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube and all that good stuff. And I will sign in later. Okay. Bye. Oh, bye.